Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having us. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for allowing us to be here, and thank you for putting on your listening ears this morning. The NCworks Career Center is what Mr. Kish just referred to, happens to be located right here in this building, just beyond the reception area of student services. Once you go down that little hall, we're there. Right there in the lobby. When you walk in, you'll actually be walking into the NCworks Career Center. We have an employability lab there, and we're there Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Friday. And because of COVID, we too have to comply with the distancing protocol, so we don't allow no more than 3 people in the lab at once. I think I've given you my card that has our phone number, my number specifically. You give a call, you know you want to come by and get some additional help with what you're going to hear Kelli talked to you about this morning. Please just give me a call and we'll be happy to accept you, okay? So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to my partner, Kelli Stewart, and she'll give you some highlights of what services we provide at the Career Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. So I'm Kelli Stewart, and I am new here. This is month 2, beginning of month 2. So I started back in November, and I'm really excited to be working here. Previously, I worked at the Goodwill Career Center, if any of you have ever utilized any of their services. And I was actually working with a very specific population, those who were incarcerated and getting out of prison. So this is a little different for me because I used to teach in the prisons. So now it's a little different teaching students now. But I'm still very excited to be here. And some of the services that we do offer are those job seeking services where if you're looking for a job and you don't know where to even start with a resume because maybe you've never done one or it's been 20 years since you've done one, that's what we're here to do. And these services are completely free for you guys to use. And I do want to hone in on that, is that this is a free service for you to come and get resume help. And we can sit down at the computer with you, show you where to get started, get you into the system, and then go from there. And then maybe you don't know exactly what you want to do or what field you want to particularly get into, and we can show you how to look that up online, where to search for jobs, where to go on your career paths, look at the labor market and know what is even available here in this area or maybe in another area that you may want to move to later on. Because this is a statewide service, so you don't just have to be here and looking for jobs here if you want to go somewhere else. We have with interview skills, if you want to sit down and do a mock interview, because maybe you've never done an interview before, it's been a long time, and just ask those questions that you may not know about. I mean, whenever I graduated from Western Carolina University, and I remember utilizing their career services as well whenever I was getting ready to graduate. I was going into my field, and I didn't know where to begin with a resume because it's just not something that's really taught. At least I wasn't taught how to do it in high school or really throughout college much. So it's just a really good service to have. And then specifically what I do, so when you walk into the Career Center, you'll see Stacy. I wish you could say your smiling face, but under the mask, she is always smiling. And that's who you'll see and initially get acquainted with. But then I also do the WIOA program, and I'm still learning a little bit more about that. But basically, if you needed help, it is income-based, but if you needed help with some grant funding and some money to be able to go into a field of work, let's say a popular one right now is childhood education. So let's say you wanted to go into that, but maybe you weren't able to afford it or you needed just a little bit of help with that, then that is something that we would be able to help assist you with and get you through the class and then help you get into that field when you complete the class. So that's the purpose of the WIOA. So please, word of mouth is critical, and especially on social media and in this virtual world that we're in now. So if you do know people that could benefit from that program or benefit from NCworks, please help us spread the word to let people know that this is a service. And it's not just for students, it's for anyone in the community, young, old, whoever needs our services, that's who we're here to provide for. Some NC Commerce partners, there's the unemployment office, and with COVID, when that hit, of course there were a lot of people that were unemployed. There's still a lot of people still unemployed in North Carolina. So they have somebody I mean, we're not the unemployment office, so you don't come and we don't really answer any questions about that, but we do have another woman there that can help maybe answer some questions and help you get on that process as well. So, Stacey, did I miss anything for NCworks?
I don't think so.
Okay, all right. Well, let's go ahead and get going into the resumes and interviews. You want me to? Oh, okay, thank you. So you guys tell me, what do you know about resumes? Right now, at this time in your life, what do you know about resumes? Without looking at the sheet.
They introduce you.
Huh?
They introduce you to somebody. They tell them your skills.
Yes.
So it's an introduction, I guess.
Yes, very good. It's an introduction. How many of you guys have a resume? Okay. I can't really, okay, one person in the regard class? Okay. All right, well, awesome. And we hope to see you guys here soon then, if you'll be, on your career path whenever you're done here. So with resumes, it is a selling tool, exactly what the lady said in the back, that it is how you introduce yourself. It's how you introduce your skills and experience. And you can make a resume even if you've never had a legit job before, whether you volunteered or whether you worked at a mom and pop place or did dishes somewhere or, whatever it is. You can really make a resume out of nothing. And I mean, like in my previous job, I was helping people that spent 40 years inside a prison make a resume. So if you think that you may not have the skills and abilities, you do. And that is what we're here to do, is to help you find those skills and abilities and put them onto paper and make it look professional in how you sell yourself. Because that is what an employer is going to see first. They're going to see your resume, they're going to see your application. I mean, an application is definitely a lot more detailed, but with a resume, they spend maybe like 15 to 30 seconds looking at it. So I can tell you, they're not sitting there reading every single detail, but what jumps out at the page to them is what is going to make the difference between you and then somebody else that's applying for the job. Because with COVID, there's still over 1 million people still unemployed in North Carolina, and we don't know what that looks like here in the next few months, but you've got a lot of people all applying for jobs right now. So the competition is a little bit high. And with business and, with the unemployment rates, you guys know that when the unemployment rate is higher, it's more competitive. And even whenever it's lower, it's not, 3% like it was earlier this year or even this time last year. So that does make things a little bit difficult, but we can show you how to put yourself above all of the other people that are applying for the same job that you are. So there's 2 different types of resumes. There's a chronological resume and then a functional resume. So if you go ahead and flip the page and look at the 2 examples right here, and this is preference. There's not, like a set one that you have to have or a set one that an employer likes more. It's really about you, about your past history, and really a preference. So with a chronological, just like how it sounds, it lays out your chronological work history. So you worked at this place from this year to this year, and this place from this year to this year. But then a functional resume, it lays out all of your skills and abilities first, and then it has your work history in there. So my preference is a functional resume. Yes, I have had a steady work history. I worked at Goodwill for 4 years, and then before that, I had other jobs for a few years. But I like functional because it can help show any gaps in employment. So if you have gaps in employment, you haven't worked in a while, maybe you took time off to come to school, or maybe you're young and this, you just haven't really worked. It doesn't make it as obvious, because with a chronological, it's obvious if you haven't worked in 5 years or that you haven't done something in the last few years. But with a functional resume, with the employment history being kind of down here at the bottom, it's not as noticeable. So whether you have gaps in employment or maybe you've jumped around with different jobs, like if you worked at one place for a few months and then another place for a few months or another place for only a year, and you don't want to list that, a functional resume can kind of help cover that up. So does anyone have any questions yet about the 2 different types?
Not a question, Kelly, but I want to say for folks that aren't in the classroom here, these materials are available on the Moodle shell as files attached in this week's shell. So you can pull this up yourself as well. Sorry about that.
No. Yes, ma'am.
I guess I kind of have a chronological
Hmm?
resume right now. But you think I should switch then to the functional since if I'm gonna be out of the workforce for 2 years, or would I continue on with my chronological and then just put the education on top?
It's your preference. Education normally always goes on the bottom, but if you do decide to go with a chronological resume and you have gaps in employment, you have to be able to make up for that time. Because most likely you will be asked about it when we get to interviews. That's something we'll talk about a little bit more. But employers they ask about gaps. They're like, why haven't you, what have you been doing the last couple years? And of course it's perfectly acceptable to say that you've been in school, you took time off to go to school, but what else were you doing during that time, kind of deal. So that's where, like I said, it is preference, but you also should be prepared for those questions to come up later. And then also another thing with resumes, with dates. So another way to kind of help cover stuff up, and in this day and age, it really is all about how you word things. So let's say maybe you're older, or even being younger and not having work experience, or enough that you feel like would be beneficial to the job. Instead of putting actual years, you can just put like 3 years. So you can say that you worked somewhere for however many years, but they won't know that you haven't worked in 2 years. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah.
And so it kind of helps cover that up, because we have people that are retired and they come in and they want a part-time job, or they're bored and they want something to do with their time, but then they're worried that they're going to be discriminated against because they don't want an employer to see that they're in their 60s. You know what I mean? And same with even younger people, because I felt like, whenever I got my first job out of college, it was scary, because I'm like, well, I'm going up against all these people that have all this work experience and all I have is a degree. Because we all see it when we're applying for jobs. They want a degree and 3 years experience. So what do you do if you don't have experience? So it's a little hard, and it can be challenging, but it's doable and you can definitely do it. So if you have those questions, that's where we're able to help. You can cover up those dates and kind of cover some things up if you're a little worried about your past, work history and things like that. Some helpful resume details. I always tell people common sense is not common to everyone. So, maybe you know this information, but the person sitting next to you may not, or a family member may not, or a sibling or a friend of yours may not know this information. But of course, like resumes, they're never handwritten. They're always done on a computer, and in the NCworks system, we have templates. There's Word documents that you can make. And there's templates out there to be able to properly know where to put all your information on a resume. It is very brief. It is very to the point. And it should be one page. I've been on interview panels and seen resumes, and some of them are like 5, 6, 7 pages. Remember when I said at the beginning that an employer spends maybe 30 seconds looking at them? If you've got a 5-page resume, it's probably been thrown out. They probably didn't even look at it. And a lot of the times nowadays, they let computer systems kind of do the screening for them before an actual person even ever sees your resume. And the same thing with applications too. So you want to make sure that your resume is that one page. You have action verbs describing the things that you've done in your past. And of course, those are all on here as well. And some other helpful resume tips, you want to take your time doing this. Making a resume is not something that's usually done in like 10 minutes. And also, finding a job is a job. It is absolutely a job to go out and find one. It's not like you just walk into a store and get hired on the spot anymore. That's not how it's done. And by putting applications in online, creating a resume, that's like a whole day type deal sometimes. We work with people in the center for hours making a resume, making it right. And you can always, if you don't have time, I even had someone email me their resume and I looked it over and sent back tips. So even if you don't feel comfortable maybe coming into the center, we can do things virtually as well. Whatever we need to do to be able to help you guys. And same thing with the Trans-Pennine County campus. There's an NCworks there, but they're willing to do that too. And use job postings to your advantage. This absolutely helps you get noticed online. So whenever you're looking on NCworks, or you're looking on Indeed. Indeed is another really good employment platform that you can look for work in. So when you see a job description and it's stating these are all the things that you have to do in the job, or maybe you're looking, you're like, oh, I did that in my last job, or I did this in my last job. You can, don't just copy and paste it and put it on your resume or in your application, but use that to your advantage, because most of the time with those online systems, that's what they're looking for. Like, those are the words that they're looking for. That's the experience that they're looking for. So when online systems are doing that screening before a real life person is looking at it, I absolutely encourage you to use those job postings to your advantage. And it's okay to have a generalized resume. So let's say that, like I've been in this office type work and case management for the last few years. So I made my resume to reflect that. I didn't put like my waitressing experience on there, or, like my campus tours that I did whenever I was at Western. So it's like relevancy most of the time. And if you do have an extensive work history, or if you have been working for a long time, or you switched careers, you can make it relevant to the job that you're applying for. So some people do have 3 or 4 different resumes because, if I wanted to go be a waitress again, I would make a resume based off of my customer service experience. And then I have this resume that I had for my case management experience. And then also I have just a generalized resume too, with kind of a little bit of everything on there. And so don't apply to every job posting within the same company. A lot of people don't always think about this, and I like to give the example like at Lowe's. There's how many different departments at Lowe's? I don't know anything about chopping wood. I don't know anything about paint. I don't know anything about appliances. I just wouldn't be good in those departments at Lowe's. So it would be bad of me to sit there and apply for every single position that Lowe's has available. And usually those online systems will kick you out. Mm-hmm. If you apply for more than like 3 positions within a company, and I've had employers tell me that, because it looks kind of desperate, doesn't it? And it just, can we do everything? No, as much as we want to, we can't. And so be mindful of those little things, and, because it's important to know just these little things are what get people kicked out of, these online applications and not getting a job because they just don't know. And, even when you're filling out applications, most of the time they're not even paper ones anymore, but let's say you write in pink ink instead of black ink. They toss it. If you can't read it, they toss it. So little things like that get people kicked out of the system or kicked out of the application process so quickly. And then you're sitting there wondering like, well, what am I doing wrong? Or like, why am I not getting a job, or this or that? And sometimes you have to sit back and reflect and say, well, what have I done wrong? Did I write in pink ink instead of black ink? Or did I make a mistake? Or, whatever it is. And one good thing about online applications is that usually it doesn't let you make mistakes. It won't let you move on, or it won't let you go forward if you mess something up. So that is kind of a benefit. But it's important to just be mindful. And that just goes back to taking your time while you're job searching. Because it takes time. It's not something that usually happens, overnight. Don't give away your age with showing dates. We talked about that. Creating your personal brand, and that's something that you can do in person and virtually. But right now, networking events aren't a really big thing because of COVID. So creating your personal brand online through LinkedIn, your social media, whatever it may be, is also important as well, because employers are looking at that. And then understanding the labor market and the in-demand services that are going on right now. So past tense action verbs. So of course, when you're writing your resume, it is past tense. So what have you done in your past? What kind of work experience do you have? And if you supervise people, these are those action verbs to use at the beginning of your sentence with the bullet points. How were you part of a team? How did you make something? How did you evaluate something? And this is for you guys to keep, of course, so definitely use this to your advantage. Personal descriptors, describing yourself. And also, let's jump down to what to include in a portfolio. So this is important for you guys to go ahead and start creating. So whenever you get your resume together, when you get your cover letter together, what other type of stuff do you need going into your job interviews and being prepared. So maybe a letter of recommendation from a past employer or even a teacher. Like if you're coming out of school, that's something good that you guys can have. The job description for the job that you've applied for, copies of your resume, copies of your cover letter, maybe any certificates that you may have. So, when I was first applying for jobs, any type of awards or things that I got while I was in school, I definitely presented those. Parts of any publications you provided assistance with, if you developed anything in your past job, any type of work that you may have, just to put it in a portfolio. Because a lot of times on those applications online, it'll ask like, well, do you want to upload this document or upload any certificates or upload this? And that just puts you above all the other people that aren't doing it. So like I was going back to with all the people that are still applying for jobs right now in the state of North Carolina, you want to put yourself up above and beyond everybody else that's applying for the same job. So that means having a cover letter. That means putting in those certificates. That means, making yourself shine to make yourself look better than the other applicants. So who needs a cover letter? Yes, everybody right now definitely needs a cover letter. And a cover letter is basically just a paragraph form of your resume. And it just goes a little bit more into detail about your skills, your experience, the things that you did, all the positive things that you did in your past jobs. And that's in paragraph form, and we can also help you with that as well. Professional references. This is just always good for you guys to go ahead and have. References never go on a resume, but they do go on applications most of the time, and then that's another thing that you can put into your portfolio to be prepared for the interview. Does anyone have any questions about resumes? Yes, ma'am. No, you're fine.
The portfolio, you basically build the portfolio and have the information ready for when they ask for it, or is it something that?
It's just always good to have. Whether they ask for it, whether you want to present it, because when things start going back to normal and you're at networking events, whether here or at a job fair, because we, not right now, but hopefully later on we'll be holding more job fairs where you can actually come in and speak to an employer directly, have it with you. Because guess what? I can guarantee you the 10 other people won't have one. So it's really just about being prepared and making that statement to the employer that you're prepared, that you've, worked hard for this. Like those first impressions are so critical whenever you're applying for work. Because even with my time at Goodwill, I've known Stacy for the last 5 years. And that was just from networking events, getting to know each other. And guess what? When this job opened up, she was the first person to call me saying, hey, this position opened up, you should apply for it. So that's a part of networking, because she knew me. She saw me public speak in other places, and this is a little different because I haven't done it with a mask before. This is my first time. But it's just always good to have with you. And another little piece of advice when you're job searching, keep a job search report, because if you were to come into the lab and spend hours applying for jobs, or even at home applying for jobs, or you're on your phone and you're on Indeed and you're just, I applied for this job, I applied for this job, keep record of the jobs that you've applied for, because what if an employer calls you and you're like, oh crap, I don't even remember applying to this job. Embarrassing, but I've done it. Years ago, not anytime recent, but when I was first applying for jobs, I was just throwing it out there, throwing my applications out there, throwing my resumes out there. And then if an employer called me and I didn't remember even applying to that specific job, and they're sitting there asking me questions over the phone, it doesn't make me look good. So keep a job search report whenever you are applying for jobs, and keep record of all the places that you've applied for. So. Any other questions before we move on to interviews? No? Okay. So interview processes and techniques. So at this point in the job searching process, they've seen your resume, they've seen your application, they've probably looked you up on any form of social media that you have. So at this point, you're like 80% of the way there. Your foot is in the door. So you should have a really good attitude going into an interview. You want to be confident, enthusiastic, happy, and motivated. And of course, we all know the difference between being cocky and then being confident. Because you don't want to go into the interview already acting like you have the job, because that will be written across your forehead. And you also don't want to go into an interview acting like, you won't get the job. Because I've had that happen too, where people would come in and say, oh, I have this interview, but I know they're not going to hire me. That is written across your face too. And it can be shown through a Zoom meeting. It can be shown under a mask. Employers know. And hiring managers, they know like what your attitude is like right when you walk into the door. Because it is 10% skill and then 90% your attitude and how you represent yourself. You don't want to go in there and kick your feet up on the desk. Like I said, and you think that this stuff doesn't happen, but it does. Like, people are... you never know. So I'm just saying, like, just those little tips. Or, not have eye contact with the person, your body language, you're slumped over, like you got your feet kicked up, you got your phone on the table, whatever it is. Like, these are the types of things that they're looking for before you even start talking. And because it's that quick, 3 to 5 seconds to make that very positive first impression. And it's not just to the hiring manager, it's to every person that you come to contact with. And some top reasons as to why companies did not hire a qualified applicant, not just any applicant, but a very qualified one: poor attitude, bad-mouthing past employers or coworkers. I've got to say, that's like the kiss of death, is if you make one negative comment about past employer, coworker, it's almost like the interview's done at that point. Employers take that very, very seriously. Not being prepared, so coming in and just winging an interview. Some people are like, well, I got this, I can just go in and wing it, but usually it doesn't turn out very well for them. So it's really, really good to go ahead and be prepared. Lack of passion, interest, or enthusiasm. So maybe right now, whenever you guys are first getting started in your careers, sometimes you just need a job. We all know that. Stepping stones. I knew that my first job at Goodwill out of college was going to be a stepping stone job. But I did not tell my employer that whenever I was applying for the job. I did not let them know that I wouldn't be here. I did. I gave them good 4 years, but, I thought that I would be there less than that. So you definitely want to show that you have that passion and you're enthusiastic about wanting to work for them. Because if you just go in there and say, oh, I just really need a job, that's another kiss of death right there too. And so, and I like acronyms, and one I use a lot, it's called ABC. It's called Available, Better, and then Career. So sometimes, when you got to pay bills, when, you're just, looking for a better job, you just take what's available to you at that time. Sometimes you just take what's available, get through it, and while you're doing something available, you're looking for something better. And then when you're into something better, hopefully that can then turn into a career for yourself. So ABCs, the available, better, and career. And it's okay to have those stepping stone jobs. Just make sure that the employer doesn't know that, because they want longevity. Because it takes time, it takes money to hire someone. So they want to know that if they're going to hire you, that you're going to be around for a little while. Not researching the company, not knowing why you want to work for them, failing to ask questions about the job, not looking presentable. We'll get to that later too. Having unrealistic salary expectations, being overqualified or underqualified for the specific job, and failing to have a good resume and cover letter. Does anyone else want to take a guess as to why maybe companies don't hire qualified participants? Qualified applicants?
It's because they don't want to pay that much for the employee, maybe? Somebody that's qualified would want more money if they have more experience?
Sometimes. Usually salary expectations aren't always mentioned in an interview. Sometimes they are, most of the time they're not. Usually money comes up whenever you're being offered the position. Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Are there sometimes follow-up interviews after the first interview, or is it just always a hire?
Usually, it depends on the company. I would have to say most of the time it's a phone interview first, and they're weeding out the applicants. So if they've got 10 qualified people and they want to only interview 4 or 5, they'll start with a telephone interview and then move into a first initial interview. And then if they're really having a hard time deciding who they want to hire, then maybe there will be a second interview.
And just would like to add to that an experience right here at the college where that absolutely happened. There were 3 really good top candidates, and after that first round, they wanted them to come back in to be interviewed a second time. And along with that, this time, Kevin, they asked them to perform something.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to now do a demonstration of how you might do a presentation, how you might do a spreadsheet, you know, how you're interacting with other folks, because we walked them around and introduced them to people, and they were watching to see, you know, how they are relatable to the team that they might work with. So not uncommon to get called on a second interview, and it's a good sign too.
Yes.
Good sign. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it usually communicated beforehand that there might be a second interview, or is it typically just kind of, do you go through the interview and then you'll get a call requesting a second one? Or how does that work?
They usually tell you, but then that's also on you to ask what are the next steps. You know, so when at the end of your interview, whenever you're asking questions and it's coming towards the end and they ask you about, you know, when should I expect to hear from you? What are the next steps? And it's perfectly fine for you to ask, will there be a second interview? You know, because even with my interview, they told me that there could possibly be a second one. There wasn't. But, you know, they usually will tell you, you know, so absolutely. So getting ready for the interview, those first impressions with the telephone. So going back to that common sense is not common to everyone. If an employer is trying to get in touch with you and they can't, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to move on. So if you don't have a voicemail box set up and they can't leave a voicemail, they're going to go on to the next person. If your mailbox is full and they can't leave a voicemail, they're going to move on to the next person. So it's little things like that. You want to make sure that you have a professional voicemail, that you present yourself well whenever you answer the phone. You know, that you have a professional email address. You know, right now you guys have your school email addresses, but you may want to go ahead and consider, you know, just making a professional one just for job searching, you know, so that way you don't get them confused. I mean, you know, maybe I have seen some hilarious email addresses. I'm sure you probably have too, Stacy. And a lot of the times an employer, if it's like something inappropriate, they most likely probably will not email you. So if you have a funny email or something, you know, use that as your personal one, but it's always really important to have a very professional email whenever you're giving that out on your resume, on your application, whenever in a portfolio. It's really important to have those professional email addresses. Clean up your social media because they're absolutely looking at that. Treat everyone you come into contact with respect and professionalism, because when you walk in there, you don't know who the hiring manager is most of the time. You don't know who's going to be interviewing you, so you don't want to be rude to like the receptionist. You don't want to be rude to, you know, whoever it is you come into contact with. I mean, the interview starts the minute you get there. The minute you get out of your car and you're in the parking lot, walking into the building. Because what are they going to do? They're going to go and tell the hiring manager, like, oh, this person was great, she was so sweet, you know, whatever it is. But if you were rude, or if you sat there in the waiting area on your phone, that's what they're going to go and tell the hiring manager. So you want to be conscientious about every move that you're making whenever you're going into the interview. You want to be able to practice answering those common interview questions, being prepared for it. And that's what we're here to do to help you. Arrive early, research the company, and like I said, just be prepared. Interview setting, whenever you get there, smile, introduce yourself, have a firm handshake. I mean, right now it's a little, people aren't really shaking hands. It's a, you know, elbow or fist bump or whatever it is, but you still just want to present yourself well. While you're waiting in the lobby or an outer office, guys, I really encourage you, leave your phone in the car. Just don't even bring it in with you. That is a huge no-no to employers, is if they see, you sitting out there on your phone. And, with your portfolio, it's good to have just notes with you. You can have a planner, you can have your like a binder or, sheets of paper with you that have questions on them or notes on them. Be studying those notes. Don't be looking at your phone, because that is just because they're going to assume that you're just going to be on your phone the entire time while you're working, right? So in this day and age, just leave it in your car. You want to dress appropriately, that golden rule. Dress one step above the workplace attire. So usually, if it's business casual, you dress like a step above that. And for your interview. So, ladies, business suits or skirts, men, suits if you want, nice button up with a tie. And we can also help you with that too. I mean, we can really help you with every step of the process with this and getting you guys ready for it. Not bringing food or drink or other people or cell phone to an interview. And then in the actual interview, this is a big one that this stuck with me when I had an employer tell me this one time, to avoid swivel chairs. Don't sit in a swivel chair, because you'll sit there and, because it's okay to be nervous. It is absolutely okay to be nervous going into an interview. I mean, of course you don't want to be in there like shaking, but be conscientious about that. If they ask to sit in a chair and it's a swivel chair, say, oh, can I sit, maybe another chair, get another chair, just so you're not sitting there like moving around in it. Don't click your pen. And with you being prepared, know like what your nervous tics are. Do you play with your hair? Do you play with jewelry? Do you shake your leg? Or go like this and the whole table's shaking? Because sometimes we don't know that we do it. We don't know. I know whenever I used to have like really long hair, and I would sit there and play with it when I got nervous. And that was something that I really had to, turn around, look at myself and say, wow, I do this. So how can I combat that? Or do I click my pen, or do I tap my pen? Because the interviewer, they're going to notice that before you do. So know what your nervous tics are and how you can combat those. If a panel interview, of course, you want to greet everyone that's in there. Make it a conversation, but don't babble. And that kind of helps ease those nerves a little bit whenever you try to make it a conversation, because, do you guys appreciate it when someone says, hey, how are you doing today? And you're just like, good. And they're sitting there staring at you, waiting for you to say something else. Well, that's the same thing in an interview. You don't want to make it like it's pulling teeth to get answers from you. But you still want to be conservative with your answers, no bad mouthing those past employers. Interview conclusion, just kind of jumping ahead a little bit because we're running out of time. You always want to have questions to ask the interviewer before you leave. Determine those next steps. When do you expect to fill the position? When can I expect to hear from you? If I don't hear from you, can I call you? And then ask for business cards, because without follow-up, if it is a panel, you absolutely, thank you cards are kind of a thing of the past, but if you want to do like an email thanking them for their time like a day or two later, that just keeps you at the forefront of their minds. So definitely get all of their information before you leave the interview as well. Show appreciation, highlight your skills again, and then, tell them you're looking forward to hearing from them once a decision is made.
I have a question.
Yes.
On here you're talking about like no bad mouthing past employers. I know sometimes they'll ask why you left your previous job.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people who've left it for conflict within the organization, like they have disagreements, so they feel like they're being treated poorly. Is explaining that, like I just felt like disrespected in the company, would you consider that bad mouthing? Or
Yes.
What exactly are you referring to?
So I always tell people to keep it as positive as possible, even because I have left a job under those circumstances where like me and the boss, we did not get along. We never saw eye to eye. We didn't agree on the same things, and it was just time for me to go. I wasn't fired, but I made that decision basically where it was like I would do better somewhere else. And whenever asked about that, I just said, I was looking for a better opportunity for myself. Brief, to the point, always keep it positive. If you were laid off, yes, you can say that. Or, the company went out of business, which is very common right now with COVID. But I would not bring up any conflicts. I would not bring up any disagreements. Just keep it positive. Like I'm looking for a better opportunity for myself. I'm looking for, This job is within my career path, and these are my goals for myself. So always kind of keep it very positive whenever you're answering those types of questions. Yes, Stacy.
Yeah, and just to add to that, positive. One of those things that you might say is, I learned a lot while I was on this job, and I feel like I've developed some skills that I'm ready to kind of expand, and I'm just looking for the next good fit, and just, that's it. Try to be brief, don't mumble a whole lot, but always keep it positive. Even if it was bad, just say, I learned a lot there. And, really excited to put my skills to work in a new environment, in a new place, and which brings me here today. So thank you for the opportunity to interview. And then you're done, ready for your next question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, sir.
And then you said it's okay to mention being laid off. Like I had that happen in one of my jobs. So like if employment downsizing, like that would be okay to mention.
Yes. But see, along with that, and then even though I was laid off, this is what I can bring to your company. This is what led me to your company. This is why I want to work for you. So even if something like that happened, and since COVID happened, the pandemic, that is super common right now. So employers, they're a little bit more, I guess lenient kind of with that question, because one of the questions about like common interview questions is, why are you seeking a career change, or why are you seeking another employment opportunity? I mean, they do say that once you have a job, it is easier to go out and find another job. And sometimes that question will go up. But just know with them asking questions like that, it's a test. Like they're testing you to see what kind of answer you're going to give them. And so if you keep it positive and, being laid off, things you can't control, those are fine to answer those ways. Real quick, some common interview questions, and like I said, more details are listed in this packet. And tell me about yourself. I hate that question. That is like the most dreaded question, even just in my everyday life. I don't like telling people about myself. But this tell me about yourself is about your skills and experience. It is not about how many kids you have. It is not about what you do in your free time. It is not about your family. It's really not about you, like the personal life. And because people get that confused, and it's very easy to just, tell me about yourself when you start rambling about your life that you have. And it's easy for people to get caught up in that. So just remember that this question is about your skills, abilities, and what you've done in your past jobs. Why do you want to work at this company? Blow their head up. Do research on them. If it's a place like, Blue Ridge Community College, what else does Blue Ridge Community College do? And not just the place as a whole, but the specific role that you're applying for. I love working with people. So that was a big reason why I wanted this job. And in case management, helping people, that is very important to me. So blow their head up a little bit and know why you want to work for them. Strengths and weaknesses. I'll go more to the what are your weaknesses, because this can be a really tricky question. You still want to keep the answer positive and follow it up with how you are working to improve on it. So let's say, your weakness is time management. So you're self-aware that maybe your time management skills aren't the best, but what are you doing to combat it? Have you bought yourself a planner? Are you keeping a to-do list? What are you doing to combat that weakness and turning it into a strength? So it is all about how you word things a lot of the time. So, with those questions that are really tough to answer, then that's how you're self-aware, you explain it, but then what are you doing to combat it? You can't just say, well, my time management skills aren't that great. Oh, well, an employer, that's not what they want to hear. So, moving on to a couple of other big ones. And like I said, you guys can read this on your free time. This last one is usually one of the last questions that they'll ask you is, why should we hire you over the other applicants that we've had? And this is your time to really shine. This is your time to take everything that you've put on your resume, put on your application, and make a really good ending statement. Even if they don't ask this question, it's just good to have a really good ending statement of why they should hire you over the other person. And we can help you create that. We can help you practice that. It's good to have. Questions for you to ask the interviewer. Always, always, always have questions to ask them. Don't ever, whenever they ask, well, do you have any questions for us? Like, no, I think I'm good. Don't ever do that. You always have questions to ask them. And with your research in the company, usually you can, form a few questions to ask them. Even if it's something off the job description, You know, can you tell me a little bit more about what this means or what these job duties entail? And then this last one, the CAR technique, really quick, this is another acronym I really like. It means context, action, and result. So this is how you can properly answer those tell me about a time when questions. So give me an example of a time you solved a major problem for your business. Tell me about a time you had to organize a large event. So you have the context, you know, what was the situation, the setting of the scene, what action did you take, and then the result of that action that you took. So whenever you're getting prepared to answer those questions, remember this and know how to answer it. And these can be in your notes in your portfolio, but this is just a really good way of how to answer those, like tell me about a time when questions, because it lays it out, the context, the action, and the result of it. So I know we're out of time. I'm sorry. I feel like I rushed through that. But any last minute questions?
And do we have 1 minute, Ben?
Yeah, we're gonna lose Transylvania.
Okay. One thing that didn't get sent in the material, and I plan to do that to Mr. Kish as soon as I get back to my office, is in the Career Center, we also offer you the opportunity to sit for the National Career Readiness Exam.